and then we ate tacos, and then I shat myself.
Am I doing it?
I think you should.
Okay.
I want you.
To want me.
I want you to do it.
Wait, so I say my name first?
No. We'll just reverse it.
Reverse everything. Okay.
So just. Do you remember what to say?
That's going to disorient.
Just go.
the
Just do
listeners.
it.
Okay. All right. Welcome back to the Metal and Miniatures podcast, where we take a jack of all trades, master of none approach to podcasting topics.
I'm John.
And I'm Josh.
That was really
that
good.
was pretty good.
I'm really impressed.
What do you think?
You said miniatures weird.
I thought it was okay.
I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
No,
that was good.
your part hasn't come yet.
I didn't know. I thought you stopped recording.
No, we're recording right
It's
now.
recording right now. And I was just kidding, anyways.
That was really good.
I
were
I
afraid-
listened to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That makes me feel better. Well,
You thought I was gonna mess up.
I actually did, but that's because you the whole time
I'm a mess up. I'm a screw up.
you were saying that you were going to mess up. So
Yeah.
I was just expecting you to.
I was just being modest.
You're really just awesome.
Yeah, pretty much.
We have a guest. Introduce our guest.
Okay. This is Michael. I've known him for 28 years. Almost 28 years. 'Cause he's my brother.
Yes.
And-
I'm Michael.
You can let him talk, Josh. It's
No,
okay.
no. I'll say it for him.
I'll ask some questions. Michael, are you an older or younger brother?
Older.
In fact, you two are the only two children out of your family.
Yes.
That is correct.
Josh, this podcast isn't about you. Michael, did you decide to do this podcast for Josh because you wanted to try to save his mistakes as a younger brother, or did you want to ride the coattails of his success? Which out of the two?
I think it has to be successful for him to ride the coattails.
Well, I saw that your podcast was doing so well, and I wanted to get on here to promote like my
That'd be funny if that's all his only
my
thing is he was promoting.
non-existent Twitter page.
So everyone go friend Michael on Facebook.
Please don't. You're gonna be so disappointed.
Hit him up on Twitter. All right. So, do you prefer Michael or Mike?
That's Michael's fine. That's what I introduced myself as.
How about what about? I mean, we have Mr. Manager. Last time we had G Master Funk Daddy, or
Oh, yeah.
whatever the hell he said.
Do you have any nicknames?
Do you have a nickname that you want?
No, I'm not a nickname type of person.
I think, and this is actually relatable to podcast, when you were like 12, didn't they call you Iron Man in baseball?
Yeah, because I got hit with a baseball, knocked off my glasses, and I went for the baseball and not my glasses. So,
And then he built a suit out of iron and flew away.
and then never to return. But
So anyway.
Michael's fine.
Okay.
Well, the topic tonight is best and worst superheroes. Right?
Right.
Okay. Now,
Just before we start,
yeah, let's go.
well,
we've started.
Where we should know
that train has left the station.
that we're all we're experts in this area. Just to make sure.
Yeah,
everybody knows.
Michael's actually a comic book expert. So anything and everything he says to do with superheroes are an exact something that you could basically quote in a comic book encyclopedia. Right?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, Josh too.
No, let's actually start there. Actually, so Josh,
Okay.
if you had to rate your knowledge of superheroes in a general sense, we're talking historically, comic books, toys, like everything, movies, TV shows. 10 being the best. What's your knowledge on superheroes?
Probably maybe a 3.5.
Okay.
Because all I really know is mainly the movies,
The
pretty much.
the recent stuff that's been,
the recent. I mean, yeah, I mean maybe older, a little bit older stuff too for movies, but that's about it.
okay. Michael,
I would say probably like a 6. Because I know superheroes. I know vaguely what I'm talking about, but not. I've only read probably 50 comic books in my life, and I never really like followed any of the story arcs. But I know I Googled a lot. I guess
and the pictures are cool.
the pictures are cool sometimes, like the
That's what I like.
fighting and I don't know. Wait, I never grew up with superheroes. Neither me or Josh did. So it's only been as of recently.
Yeah, I think I'd put myself about a 6. Maybe also, I had a lot of friends, or I had a particular group of friends that really did like superheroes, and so a lot of my knowledge was more of hanging out with them, reading their comic books, looking through their superhero cards instead of like baseball cards. We did a lot of that too. Plus, I mean, I owned my own comic books that were passed down to me from an older brother. You know, comic books from the 80s. So that's basically where I'm coming from. So let's do this.
Okay.
Best worst superheroes.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do you guys want to start? Josh, do you have a favorite superhero?
See, that one's tough, but I'll go with and I don't really know exactly why I really like this superhero, but the Flash. I don't really know his backstory or anything like that, but I just remember seeing. This is gonna sound really funny, but just seeing the costume.
I was just going to ask what your thoughts on the costume were.
Pretty much, it's all the costume. I was like, finally, like it's a pretty cool looking costume.
Finally, a guy with little lightning bolt ears.
Exactly, yeah.
Right?
Do they call them costumes?
Unitards.
I mean, because you dress up, but in real life,
Like
superheroes,
if you were to see a superhero running
is a
around in his costume,
it's just his outfit.
okay. So for the Flash, what are your thoughts on? Do you think he runs really fast, or do you think he slows down everything else?
This is getting way too
Whoa.
intense, way too quickly.
Um,
With that kind
Wow.
of question, your knowledge would be like a 10.
Well, no, that's just a general question. I think.
I always assumed he just ran really fast, but that's what I'm going to go with because that's a lot of power if he's controlling everything else.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with that. But I mean, I just like I thought he was a cool looking superhero, and I just for some odd reason liked that he ran really fast.
Okay.
But I mean, there's a lot of other superheroes that I probably find more
Attractive.
attractive. But that just happens to be the one that I always, was like, oh yeah, that's a cool superhero.
Okay. Michael, you got a favorite?
As of recently, okay, this is weird, but Aquaman, because
I'm blown away. No one likes Aquaman.
right, he's the underdog, but isn't like 90% of the world covered in water
I think it's like 70.
or whatever? I'm not.
90 would be a little.
I think I think it's about 84.
Okay.
Okay, all
But-
our listeners have to go look up who's more right. John says 70, Michael said 90, and you said 84.
84.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Anyway, so but and he's just I don't know. I just like the underdog. I think he has a lot of potential. And also in the new comic, the new 52, which is okay, anyway, forget about that.
We will.
He went into a restaurant and ordered fish, and everybody gave him a weird look, and he's like, "What? I can't order fish?" That was funny.
So he's your favorite because of a one-liner.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know. He just his new story was awesome, and I just like the underdog.
I think one of my favorites is Jean Grey.
Okay.
And I'm actually noticing something right off the bat, and I don't need to explain why Jean Grey is my favorite, because I think it might come out later on. But what is better? Who are the better group of superheroes? DC or Marvel?
That's completely
Let's hear it, Michael.
Opinion.
I want to hear your opinion on it.
okay. Marvel has perfected the movies. Not perfect, but they've been really great recently. And but my personal favorite is DC.
Yeah, but we're talking about just the superheroes, not the movies. Like
Right.
who has the more interesting group of superheroes?
Who?
And
Who is more iconic than Batman and Superman? I mean,
I don't know.
I can't think of a Marvel character that's more iconic than those.
So you'd say that DC has done has done superheroes, the superhero genre better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Josh?
So to point it, I even as of recently wasn't even sure exactly who was where until I kind of just started naming them before this podcast, and it turns out I was quite right with some of them.
Okay.
But it just seems like DC seems like the darker one to me, and maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems like darker. You know, it's Batman. It just seems like that's just what it seems like to me. And then Marvel seems like the lighter side. And
Well, that's interesting because I would say the opposite.
Oh, really?
So for both of you, actually. So
you would say Marvel's darker.
It's one
too?
John versus two brothers
Okay.
right now.
All right.
So I would say, but it's all personal opinion, obviously.
Right, 100%.
So I would say Marvel is better because the superheroes are more believable because they're more human. They're less super.
yeah, like the
Then
Hulk.
like Batman.
Oh, calm down. And because I think that Marvel attaches itself to the real world instead of making up a world like Metropolis and Gotham City and things like that. So, and I think Batman is actually the outlier in DC Comics because I would say that Batman is by far probably one of the best superheroes ever. That's because I enjoy like the really dark, not really super hero, but a hero. And
Yeah.
because let's go to least favorites. Okay, so who are your least favorites? And I think that'll explain my opinion a little bit better.
See, that's the one I
The
didn't-
worst superhero. Who?
The worst.
Yeah.
Are you talking worst, like least favorite, or weird?
I don't. Just try us.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever.
So okay.
go-
You go first, and
The
I'll gather my thoughts.
Worst mainstream, Spider-Man, 100%.
Okay.
Spider-Man is just
Is that because you don't like
like-
Tobey Maguire?
yeah.
But we're not talking about the movies necessarily. We're talking about the actual
Okay, the
superhero,
actual superheroes.
like the idea, the concept of the superhero.
I don't know. Spider-Man does get a lot of. Spider-Man is more geared towards kids, I think, and so I respect him for that. But
I respect Spider-Man too. He does good work with the kids.
He does look out for the kids.
But in a fight, like if you have Spider-Man versus Batman and Superman, who would you rather be saving you?
That's a tough question. Because,
Wonder Woman.
because I think Batman. I agree with John. I think Batman is actually really awesome. The story and everything like that. But it seems like he always gets beat down. Maybe it's because he has such good villains in Gotham City. But like Spider-Man, usually comes out on top. But Batman,
Yeah,
he gets his back broken and stuff.
I think that make again. This is just kind of a personal thing. Like I prefer my heroes, or my protagonists in stories to be believable. They have
Right.
faults. They're a little bit like me. I can relate to them. And my least favorite superhero is the most iconic. It's Superman.
Wait. I was trying to go before you because
Sorry, you missed your opportunity.
because I was going to say Superman is mine, and that is the exact reason. Not necessarily believable, but because of his, I guess because believableness. He's too powerful.
He's too invincible.
Yeah,
Right? And
he's got a silly costume.
well, I mean, let's not. DC, I kind of agree with Michael that DC has really done. They created the superhero genre, right? Back with Action Comics back in the 30s, with Superman and stuff, and they made big, bold colors on the costumes, and it was this whole like good guys really versus evil and fixing the evils of the world, and it really hit home with people at that time. But for me and my generation, that doesn't work. I want I want my favorite superhero, Jean Grey, to get almost too powerful and then just decide to go off and commit suicide in order to redeem herself when she's with her team, because she's kind of messing things up.
Wow, that's a terrible message.
Yeah, it is.
That was terrible.
But it makes a good story.
It makes a great story.
Well, yeah.
And so, yeah, and again, like I love Wonder Woman because she's an icon for feminism in the when in the 40s. When there's like this strong woman who is saving
Right.
dudes and stuff. And
But do you know what her weakness was in the 40s or whenever she was created?
mm-mm.
Being bound by a man. Like
There you go.
and they've
I
phased
think
that out.
he might be a 7 out of 10.
He's proven to be more than a 6 for sure.
But no, it's just interesting that she.
That's funny.
That was
makes
her
sense for
original-
then.
Yeah, so I mean, like she was there, but then she's grown out of that, obviously.
Well, yeah, I mean, all comic book character or all superheroes have changed,
Right,
a lot.
yeah.
I mean, even and you talked about story arcs. You have people, or you have lots of heroes that have reset their story arcs
Right.
and restarted a dozen times since
Right.
they were created in the 60s or as far back as the 30s for Superman.
Right. Well, because you remember when Superman died,
Right.
that was huge.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, but obviously he's good now.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I was going to say, I think, and this is kind of what I was going to bring up too, is when we say our best and worst superheroes, as we can tell, as we've been discussing, we need to see, like, really what we define as best or worst, because,
Okay, so speaking of worst, so I'm gonna bring up a few that that are kind of weird.
okay,
So-
go weird and then tell us why they're weird fast.
Okay.
Give us a list.
We've got Matter Eater Lad, who his power is he could eat any kind of matter. And then we have
Can't anyone do that?
no, he can eat, like, if you imprisoned him, he could eat his way out of the prison.
I mean, but okay, I wasn't gonna go all chemist on you, but like technically, we could eat all matter too. It just needs to be small enough.
Right.
Okay, matter eater. He can eat anything.
And then we also
whoop-de-doo, he's an idiot. Okay, next
we
one.
also have Arm Fall Off Boy, and his
no,
power.
I can see that being useful.
Well,
you have
his
some in your hand, you don't want it.
no, you could. His power was he takes his hands or his arms and he can use them as clubs. That's his power.
But if he doesn't have any hands to use his hands
Well,
as
he
clubs,
only takes off one at a time, obviously.
lame.
That sounds like a campy
I see why
horror
it's
film
worst.
more than anything. Okay, next.
And then the last one I'll mention is okay. This one's weird. It's Mr. Mxyzptlk, MXYZPTLK.
Sounds like a Dr. Seuss
Now
character.
he's kind of like the mind reader type, but the way you destroy him is by getting him to say his name backwards.
That's his weakness.
Yep.
Wow.
What is it backwards?
I don't know. I
What? Who? Who are these characters sponsored by?
they're like Marvel and DC.
They are.
They
huh?
are. Yep.
Okay.
They're weird. Yeah. They're just kind of
They're like fourth-rate heroes, though, that have like.
that were back in the 60s, and
Okay.
basically at the time they were just putting out so much that they didn't really. They just kind of got whatever.
Okay.
Whatever you could think of. Arm Fall Off Boy. Let's do him.
That's back. That's back when they were seriously just throwing shit at the wall,
It
hoping
sounds like-
something was going to stick.
Yeah, it sounds like they were just like. I mean, it couldn't even be it couldn't have been serious that they thought it would catch like Superman, or whatever.
Well, Superman started out as a villain. Their very
Well,
first when he was created, it was the Superman, and he was like Lex Luthor type. He was bald, and he was the villain, and that only lasted one story until they realized, no, let's make this guy cool or whatever. They turned him into a hero.
That's more than I know.
Yeah. Well, thanks
Points
Wikipedia.
to you.
Okay, so Josh, what in your mind? Like, give us a couple of ideals that make for you a good superhero.
Okay, so to try to define it as our best. I would say,
Or the best. Yeah, the best.
yeah, I would say, kind of what you were talking a little bit, but making them real. I prefer the superheroes that are more real. That they don't just have some random special powers, although some of them are cool, like the Flash. And then in my mind, it doesn't really have anything to do with necessarily the superhero, but one with the story that like a superhero that has really cool villains.
Okay.
It actually has to do with the actual story, which is why I think Batman is so good.
Batman has certainly
Batman-
perfected the villain.
Yeah,
I agree.
and I can even like really I mean, I could name some of the other villains, but when I think of superhero villains, I think of Batman villains.
It's almost like more superheroes, right? Like the stories about them, but Batman really feeds off of the idea of the villains also. And again, I'm not a huge comic book guy, but it just seems like Batman's villains are much more involved in his story than, say, the X-Men's villains.
Yeah.
Right,
Right?
because I can't even really think of X-Men villains.
Magneto.
But he's back
that-
and forth. Sometimes
Yeah,
he's good,
so,
sometimes he's bad.
I don't know. Okay.
What about
Michael,
Yeah.
hit us up. What makes a good or best superhero?
I kind of go the opposite with you guys. I like it when they have a power. I like it when they're powerful. I want them to win. I want the superhero to destroy the villain. I want him to be the. That's why I do like Superman. I think he's great. I think he's
You like that iconic,
right. I mean,
superhuman
everybody
guy.
knows Superman. You know, you would be the most excited if Superman was the superhero to come save you.
I told him
I
to
would.
go away.
what would you really tell him?
Hug me. No, I wouldn't. I hate Superman.
Yeah.
I'd be like, you're too good to save me. Go
Goes-
screw Lewis.
So you want no question, definitely that they are gonna win, basically.
No, but I like when they kind of figure out a way to make them weak enough to where they could lose. But then,
because a little green rock is shining
Right.
in your pocket.
yeah, that's and so I don't know. I just like that kind of thing. I mean, I do respect Iron Man. I think he's Marvel's version of Batman.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, almost he is. He's the rich,
Rich, powerful, smart
single guy who's. Yeah.
Didn't think about that.
and I do think he's great. And
I think he's a nice guy.
I think he's a nice guy, but if I was being requested, I would prefer Superman over Iron Man.
I just want Batman to talk to me in his voice. Well, Christian Bale's voice.
I hate that voice.
Yeah, I for me, I kind of think I really like heroes that follow the Greek tragedy line of heroism, right? So someone who gets so close to this perfection or being a hero in a true sense, but then just kind of failing. And so, you know, that's why guys like Batman or Iron Man, they're just, or Jean Grey, or, you know, Daredevil is another one of my big favorites.
And
Those-
I'm sorry, what is Jean Grey's thing?
She's she's the telekinesis X-Men girl who gets way too powerful in the movies, and she turns
Okay.
into the Phoenix.
I've only seen like the new two.
Yeah, she's not like she's back from the 60s,
Right.
and she's had basically her whole story has been she used to be really weak, but then she got uber powerful, and then got too powerful, and became basically a god.
Oh,
And then at
okay.
the end, she ends up, at least in her original story arc, she ends up committing suicide because she's becoming too much of a problem.
Right. Okay.
So I mean, you know, it's those kind of things, and I just like a little bit more human with my superheroes.
So
than
like
super.
a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's.
I would agree with that.
But again, let's make this clear to now 5 because one of the listeners is sitting here with us. But the 5 listeners that it's all just opinion, right?
oh,
and,
for sure.
And only Josh's opinion is right in all
Right.
of this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because he hasn't had one yet, except for the Flash.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Flash. That's a pretty good one.
Well,
That's
his
the right
costume
opinion.
is so
right.
gorgeous.
It is gorgeous.
Right.
Can you?
I mean,
do you
how-
disagree?
No, I can't think of a more iconic costume than the Flash
Right.
and his helmet thing. Like, I mean, that probably helps him see.
helmet
The-
thing.
I think it's the
Lightning
lightning bolts on
bolts.
the ears.
And
are
is
awesome.
it? Do you think it's leather or do you think it's just?
Oh,
like-
absolutely. I
yeah.
think it's leather.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay?
Looks leather.
If
I'd wear a leather one.
to each their own.
Right.
Okay.
You know what? Now it just sounds like a dominatrix kind of suit or something.
Oh, we weren't thinking that.
Oh, yeah, me neither.
Nobody was until you.
Okay, so I think this is a really important question. So if you could have one, you only get one, no cheating. If you only could have one superpower, What would it be?
Are you saying superpower or like the power of a hero?
One superpower.
Oh, okay.
Nope, you can't choose Superman, you cheater. Because I know you would. Because then you'd be invincible.
I would choose. There's what is it? It's composite Superman, Batman, and so that they're half and half. So it's like I don't know when that was, but I know it was in the Lego game, so I know it's real. But anyway, okay, Josh, you go first.
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around that one real quick.
No, just think of one superpower.
Oh no, his. I was trying to figure out. One superpower.
And wait, are you a superhero, or does this just help you in your everyday life?
Whatever you want. You're just you. You're just Josh. You're a co-host on a really shitty podcast. You have a shitty job. You have a great family. And you can do blank.
I would say. Well, I thought it would come to me right then, but it just didn't.
Ooh, this is going to be long dead silence
It
on
is
the
going to be
air.
a long dead silence.
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay, great.
Flying, of course. It would just make everything easier. It'd make my job easier. I could just fly from place to place, and I just think it would make life. I mean, like fast flying, not just like regular, as fast as you could walk, like that you're swimming in air.
Yeah.
But that seems like it would be the most useful.
I think that I'll give that like a rating 8 out of 10.
I almost said
I think
flying.
that's a good one.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry
Oh,
if I took yours.
No. Well, I thought about it, but I was like, it's okay. But I'll one up that one. I mean, which I think it might be one up is teleportation. Because I mean, yeah, flying would be cool to look down. Yeah, you're flying, but then you could be anywhere you want to be, really fast. I'm sure that would help me out in my daily life.
Yeah. I mean, we'd have to put parameters, right, on can you teleport stuff with you? Do you have to be able to see the place? Do you have, I mean...
I would just be able to make a Stargate appear wherever
Okay.
I wanted
In both
to.
places. So would it be like a big production? Like would this huge Stargate all of a sudden appear
Yeah.
in the middle of where you're
Yeah,
like,
and
in
make
the
all
middle
kinds
the
of
library
sounds.
when you're going,
Yeah.
and then all
Yeah,
this
oh, yeah.
electricity and everything like flies around, and
And then,
because I'd rather it be subtle.
well, then every time what's-his-face from the movie Stargate would appear every time I did it, too.
James Spader.
Yeah. He would appear every time I made a Stargate appear. So that's mine.
Okay.
James Spader. What's yours?
I
What was your rating on that one?
I do think that's a little better than flying.
Really?
Yeah, just because it seems like a lot less energy to do the exact same thing.
But if you're trying to impress someone,
That's pretty impressive.
I'd be impressed. I'd be impressed. No
You'd
matter-
be impressed if I held on to him and Stargated him
okay,
somewhere
if you
else.
can hold on to someone, I get that. But like if all of a sudden he disappeared, that would be
What if he could just like disappear and then like appear
go
behind
come.
me? Or
Yeah,
something?
that's
I mean,
true.
I don't
That's
know.
true.
So 8.5.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to get at.
What's yours?
Well,
Let me
I'm not-
guess. It's gonna be some sort of like godly power or something like that.
The power to have any power.
close. I think telepathy would be probably my preferred thing.
And is this something you could turn on and off? Or
Yeah.
like, do you always constantly be able to? Oh wait, telepathy.
yeah,
That's
it's,
where you hear
it's-
people, right?
well, it's where I can communicate.
He's
like via mind.
He's basically
And I
trying to overpower everybody's mind. Is what he's getting at.
So you could listen to people's thoughts. Is that what it is?
Yeah, and
He
then
would get in there and he was trying to overtake people's minds. That's
and then
exactly
I
what
could
he's doing.
I could tell you what to think. I could
Tell me Superman's terrible.
yeah. I mean either that or telekinesis, which is like manipulation of physical objects.
That would
of
be cool.
physics with your brain. You know that would be.
Yeah.
I would do that subtly, like where you could like just people wouldn't be 100% sure.
Yeah, see?
That would be cool.
I'd do it blatantly.
At first,
I was,
well,
I was
later
trying to
on.
guess
because I'm pretty sure I could live my normal life and still have those, and I'd feel about 100% better about myself if I could do those kind of things.
You know, I was gonna try to guess yours, John.
you were close.
And I had a feeling I didn't know exactly where you would
You
go
had,
with
like,
it,
some sort of
but it would have to be some sort of like mind control or something. Let me guess, you give that a 10 out of 10.
I mean, well, that's my choice, so obviously, yeah.
Well, yeah.
But I don't think an 8 or an 8.5 is a bad.
No, I don't think so either.
I wasn't trying to insult you guys.
No.
But obviously, it hurt your feelings.
No.
Okay,
I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10 because I think that one's actually better.
8 for I can't say that.
Telepathy.
Telepathy.
Yeah.
8.5 for telekinesis.
You like the manipulating physics and stuff.
I didn't even think about that one when I was choosing.
Well,
It would have been better if you would have given us a list.
ugh. Sorry.
To choose from?
Well, yeah, because then now we know that what else is out there.
Oh,
You
okay?
said list. Yeah, you said list. Okay. Okay. Well, so let's see. How much time do we have left? We've been going on. Okay, we're still good. So let's talk. We've talked about comics a little bit, right? And that's kind of, you and I are more into the comics thing than Josh, right, Mike?
Right.
So-
I just like the whole variation of different. Because they don't necessarily always put all of them in movies. But I think
I
Guardians of the Galaxy is opening a big door.
Okay.
Because weird heroes are getting their movie.
So let's talk a little bit about movies. That's actually a perfect segue into movies.
Right. Yeah.
So let's talk about. Let's just talk about movies. What do you guys think about because superhero movies is a newish trend, and it's hit big
Right.
here in Hollywood. Good thing, bad thing. What do you think?
I think it's a decent thing. I mean, I enjoy a lot of them, except for I don't necessarily think redoing them over and over again is necessarily a good thing.
But what they have to do to explain Spider-Man, for Sony to keep the rights, they have to put out something Spider-Man every so often, or else they lose the rights.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why they had to keep. I don't think that's right, but
Are the movies
that's
doing
lame.
these superheroes justice for their stories?
for now,
You think so?
I think it'll get a little old after a while.
I think overall, the Batman ones did. I quite enjoyed. I mean, I enjoyed them for a superhero movie. The new Batmans. Except for I still think that Michael Keaton is a much better Batman than Christian Bale.
Okay. I think that there's been there's not a very good success rate on the superhero movies.
What do you mean?
I mean they're successful because idiots will watch anything in a theater now,
Right.
and all three of us are those idiots too.
Yeah,
It's not just pointing the finger at other people, but I don't know. I just think that when I see, for instance, when X-Men first came out, they're kind of the first thing that really hit big, right? Or Spider-Man before them.
I think they were close.
Okay.
Yeah.
But X-Men, when it first came out, I thought it was an amazing movie because I was reliving this cool story of my childhood, with X-Men and stuff. But then, if I go back and I watch X-Men, any one of those originals, I think, this is kind of a shitty movie.
Is it because of the effects or just?
I just think overall, maybe it's just what I read in the comics back, and then how much I got into the storylines. I just felt like, man, this is a TV show for 12-year-olds, or a movie for 12-year-olds who
Right.
think cool guys with claws coming out of their hands fighting is that's what makes a good movie.
Right.
And granted, they're good action movies, right? They have cool effects. I mean, the Avengers was an Avengers 2, and even Iron Man and Iron Man 2, right? Those were amazing movies, effects wise, and totally action packed. I don't know though. I mean, it's just it seems like those characters were way more interesting when they were stuck in between the pages.
See, with the new X-Men movies, did you see the new ones?
No, I've sworn them off now.
The new ones are
Me too.
They're amazing because all the characters, everybody knows what their powers are. They're not spending a whole lot of time setting up origin stories, which I'm kind of sick of. Origin stories, I mean, how many times can you really hear that? But that's why the new X-Men movies are amazing, because everybody already knows what's going on, and they just continue from there.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the stories of how they got this superpower, whatever. Personally, those are my favorite ones.
But that's because you don't know the background
right?
story.
Yeah, exactly. I have no idea, but I mean, that's why I liked. And that's why when I was going to see the first Iron Man, I was like, yeah, I really don't want to see this movie. But then I saw it and I thought it was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I first saw Spider-Man, now I don't think they're that good, but the original Spider-Mans.
But that's the same with the Avengers. I love the Avenger movie because they're already set, and it's just
Right. Well, they took 5 separate movies to set up those characters basically
Right.
before the Avengers popped off.
But they all had their power in full. Like they used them the entire movie.
no.
I like that. Sometimes it gets old when they don't have their powers for most of the movie.
So one of my favorite superheroes that I owned comic books of was Daredevil. He's a blind.
Oh, Ben Affleck.
I've never. That's what I'm getting at though. Is he's a blind attorney basically, and he has his senses heightened or something like that, and he's kind of like Batman. He's a detective more than anything.
Like a blind Batman.
Yeah, but he uses like these weird, like crazy senses, so he's a little bit more superhero-ish.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Cool name, too.
so the movie came out, and I was excited about it,
Right.
but then I never had the opportunity to go see it in theaters.
Politics.
I was poor, probably. And when I had my friends coming back and telling me how awful the movie was, it was so soul crushing. Just like, oh,
Yep, I have
one
that.
of my favorite superheroes, and there's a movie out about him, and I can't even go watch it because, for whatever, because I'll hurt myself or whatever. So again, I think that, like I said, I think there are good superhero movies out there. I just think that for the majority, I would put them at the bottom half of the movie category than the
Yeah.
top
Well,
half.
especially before this, I don't know. I had the same experience with Green Lantern. I was excited.
Right.
But I saw it kind of before everybody thought it was horrible, and I liked it. I didn't mind it, but it's kind of embarrassing to say I liked it because
That's what.
Yeah. They're overall superhero movies. I mean,
Josh has admitted to liking way worse movies than Green Lantern. You don't need to worry about that.
that's not true.
It is.
And we're not getting on the goon kick right now, which is an awesome movie. But I will say, you don't want to know what probably in my opinion, and I think yours too, John, the worst superhero movie and possibly one of the worst movies ever. Do you know?
Is it Wolverine Origins or whatever it was?
It's the second one, whatever it was called.
That was so
It
bad.
was probably one of the worst movies or superhero movies ever.
It's probably one of the worst movies ever.
Yeah.
Which one was it again? What was the second Wolverine? It was just about him. What was it called, Michael?
Origins, I think.
yeah, I
just
think it was just
Wolverine
Because
Origins?
They did Wolverine, and then they did Wolverine Origins, and then they did the Wolverine. Is like
Wasn't
third.
the Wolverine? I think it was that. The
It was the
Origins
one where he was like in a different
he
country.
was like samurai.
Yeah,
Stuff.
he was a samurai fighter with his claws,
Oh my god!
and
It
then
was so bad.
yeah.
How does that not sound awesome? No, it really doesn't. So is there a superhero
Sounds
movie that of a superhero that they haven't made that you would like them to make?
I'd like him to redo Daredevil so I could actually watch it. But then again, I don't know because, like I said, I've been so unimpressed
They
so
are
far.
doing a TV show of Daredevil,
I saw that,
and it actually looks pretty good.
And do you think that's the only way that they would be able to? Like, do you think it's tainted because of the movie being so terrible?
Yeah, maybe I'm just so cynical now about the whole process. Because I mean, I really liked the Batman movies,
Right.
and I think most people liked them also, and I think that they did the Batman genre how I always envisioned it, really dark,
Yeah,
evil.
Right.
Batman's having to make really shitty decisions,
Right.
and so I don't know if they could give like Daredevil or Jean Grey that kind of treatment where it's like this low, like kind of the difference between like high fantasy and low fantasy. Like high fantasy is like J.R.R. Tolkien stuff, and low fantasy is like Game of Thrones,
Right.
right? So like that low where you're trying to like bring the genre down to a more realistic level so that you can relate better to it.
Which is what they're kind of doing with like the TV shows like Gotham and Arrow.
Right.
And I think they're trying to kind of make them more for people who kind of want to stay away from the extraordinary superhero stuff.
It turns it less into an action genre and more into a drama genre, right? And that interests me.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I like him better.
So if they could do that kind of treatment, then I would do Daredevil, do any of them. I'd be totally thrilled to watch that.
What are your
stuff.
thoughts on Batman versus Superman?
Like who's better?
No.
The Dawn of Justice.
Yeah, then
I don't know what we're talking
what's coming
about.
out?
I don't know.
Batfleck.
The new movie that's coming out with Ben Affleck as Batman.
Yeah, I think Hollywood is just they're seeing how successful all these shitty movies are, and so and not that Ben Affleck's an awful actor or anything like that, but they're just gonna keep throwing shit at the wall until people stop putting their money into it. And I think, and could it be good? Yeah, it could. But man, there's way better. I don't know. I think that if I were a director, I'd want to stop writing this the semi-success of superheroes and try something different. But that's me. Maybe that's why I'm not rich.
But that's what sells.
Probably because you haven't made a superhero movie.
There you go.
Or did you make
Arm
Daredevil?
Fall Out Boy coming in 2016
Now
in a
we're
theater
talking.
near you.
Now we're talking.
Here, do you remember? I don't know if you guys have a whole lot more to say about superheroes. Josh, anything?
Not really. I mean, unless you count RoboCop as a superhero.
Yeah, he just was never like a comic, as far as I know.
Yeah.
So, Michael, do you remember there's a couple of comic book series that I'm pretty familiar with. There was Marvel Civil War.
Oh, I've heard of it, and I've heard very high praise about it.
And that was like, again, it was a kind of a low fantasy genre where all these superheroes are fighting against each other because it had to do with like Mutant Registration Act or something.
Right.
There's another one called The Ultimates, which is all about the Avengers, and that's more or less what I think the new Avengers movies kind of used to write their scripts and actually put together. I think, and then but the one that I think was the most iconic for me was DC versus Marvel.
Was that I heard rumors.
So this was back. Whoops. This was back in like the 90s. Yeah, 96. And you actually had DC and Marvel heroes battling it out in the comic books. So they're trying to like who's the biggest, baddest, superhero, and they did these matchups. Okay, so if I'm gonna give you guys the two matchups, and you tell me who you think won. Okay. Well, first of all, there's all the crappy matchups that no one gives two shits about. But they had five marquee matchups,
Right.
and they had fans vote on who would win.
And did they put that like?
And they that's who they had win in the
Okay.
storyline.
I mean, that's awesome. I think, but nobody's gonna ever do that ever again.
No, I mean, but again, this is really so. Here we go, and these are actually real. Everyone will know these names.
And you know who won?
Right here.
Okay.
Okay, so first one is we'll go do ladies first. Wonder Woman versus Storm.
Would you like to take a stab at that?
See, and this is where my bias comes in for DC. Wonder Woman is who I would like to see win that one.
No,
I would.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead. I wasn't gonna.
I would just out of strictly upper body bicep. I would say Wonder Woman.
Long pause because I'm trying.
Well, okay, so anyway,
And the mystery remains.
okay. Well, why that mystery is you were talking about different superhero.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Storm won.
And honestly, thinking about it, I think that's what the fans would vote because Wonder Woman's main. That doesn't surprise me.
I think power wise they could be pretty evenly matched.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, so next one you have Wolverine versus Lobo. Lobo's a DC character that not a lot of people know about, but
Yeah.
Wolverine everyone's going to know
I'd have
about.
to look him up to see.
Lobo, he was in he has like the motorcycle and he has
He's like
the chains.
Yeah.
Wolverine, because of course Wolverine's gonna win. Wolverine's invincible or whatever.
Wolverine won.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course he's gonna win.
Okay, how about this one? Ready? Batman versus Captain America.
Batman.
Um,
I'm not a fan of Captain America.
I liked the most recent movie, but actually, I think Captain America would win.
Batman won.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. DC. I mean, again, these are fans voting,
Right, and
it's kind of a
because
cool thing to see.
Because I know that, that's why, of course, Batman would win. Now,
I'm going strictly off of just the characters.
But thinking about now, the Captain America movies are popular. I mean, that may have switched now.
Again, Captain America back in the mid '90s was way different than Captain America now.
Right, and he wasn't nearly as popular as he is now.
Okay, so next one, Spider-Man versus Superboy.
Superboy.
It's basically
Basically, Superman.
Superman, but he's 12.
Spider-Man versus Superboy. Not Spider-Boy versus
Because DC
Superboy.
is so original, they decided to use Supergirl and then Superboy and then Superdog.
Well,
Crypto
Spider-Man.
was the Superdog. It wasn't Superdog. Crypto.
Spider-Man, obviously, I think would.
Spider-Man won,
Yeah.
but there's no way that would happen if it was a real fight.
No.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And here's this one's interesting. So who do you think Superman went up against
For
Marvel?
I almost would think someone from X-Men.
Nope. Do you want to help?
Yeah.
Someone from the Avengers.
A Hulk.
Yep.
Really?
Superman versus Hulk.
Superman,
no,
of
okay, yeah,
course.
there's no question.
Yeah,
Superman
I
won.
mean,
So I remember reading this comic book at the comic book store,
Right.
and it was. I really want to actually find it because it was just one of those really cool fight scenes and everything because you had the Hulk they were fighting the Grand Canyon, and the Hulk is like throwing these massive rocks at Superman, and Superman's getting the shit kicked out of him, but then all of a sudden he decides that he's done playing around and just kills the Hulk. Anyway, really cool stuff. So if you guys aren't interested in comic book stuff or superheroes, then you probably shouldn't have listened to this
but if you made it this far, there's no turning back.
because it's basically the end.
Yeah.
So
Um.
anything else?
So last thing, just quick, just name it off. It's who is the best villain in your opinion? I know we didn't touch on this too much, but in my opinion, that's where I really like these stories.
I mean, Heath Ledger.
As Joker.
No, just Heath Ledger. He portrayed the Joker so well, and I mean, come on, you got to give it to the Joker, right?
Mentally, like he's mentally unstable.
He's just like so.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems such a good villain.
There was do you remember the DC like Mortal Kombat type game?
Yeah.
His Joker's like finish him type thing. He pulled out a gun and it said bang, but then he pulled out another gun that was real and shot the.
Yeah. No, I would
and,
say
like, that's his.
Yeah, I like
psychosis.
his trickery and his psychosis a lot. So he's probably would be a lot of people's favorite. But I also think a really good one is the Penguin.
Are we doing worsts? Supervillains? Is that what we're doing?
No, I believe I said bests. I really
I don't have a whole lot to say about that.
I really like the Penguin in Tim Burton's Batman.
Okay.
I think Danny DeVito did really good. He's just disgusting, and I think it was just really good.
There was actually rumors of Philip Seymour Hoffman being the Penguin.
I
That would have
heard
been amazing.
that- right. So
Well, then what if he did that and then he died? Then it'd be like Batman movies were like a curse to actors.
right, see,
Yeah.
that would be crazy. So that didn't happen.
How about Jim Carrey as the Riddler
I thought he did good in a really bad movie.
or Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze?
Yeah.
Interesting thing about that Riddler he was with Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face. Before
Right.
they started the movie, Tommy Lee Jones went up to Jim Carrey and says, "I hate you and everything you do." Let's begin. That's exactly. He went up to him and said, "You're," but yeah,
Are you being serious?
yeah, dead serious.
Look
That's
it
what
up.
Jim Carrey said. Yep.
Look it
Oh.
up.
Okay.
Okay, well, everybody, we appreciate you guys listening, and hopefully this caught your attention. Michael, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And thank you for joining us.
You guys. Okay, well, good night.